Legacy is one of my favorite things to talk about. Hello, my name is Belinda Aycock, and welcome to the great room of our home. You know, when we were decorating this huge room, in fact, the kitchen in this room is about 2,000 square feet with the Concho River on one side and a beautiful landscape of the farm on the other. This is when I was going, we're gonna really have to get creative with that big wall. And my husband's idea, y'all get this, he said, why don't we get an elk? Oh, I'm gonna go hunting, I'll kill an elk and I'll put it on that wall. And I was like, I don't think so. And that's when I came up with my mom with this idea about basically a gallery of chairs. And as we began to put it all together, it really told a unique story about our family. The first chair that I want to share with you is when you kind of get first married and everything's upside down. My grandparents, my parents, and David and I, we all married very young, and life's kind of wild and crazy, and it feels upside down and kind of out of sorts at times. And the light that's in that chair, when we turned it upside down and kind of made it a bookshelf, it's just a reminder that Jesus is the light of the world and needs him to be in the very center of your marriage. In fact, there's a scripture in Ecclesiastes that a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. So we always want to be reminded that Christ is in the center of our marriage. And then the book that's underneath that lamp is my grandmother's Bible, and she left that Bible to me. And it's kind of a funny story. Written in the Bible, she left it to another relative, and then she scratched their name out and put my name. So I think that's just a hoot. I had to share that with y'all. And the next chair that I want to show you, actually when I found this chair, it had no legs. It was just the base of the chair. And it so reminded me of my grandfather, Papa Ratliff, about his business chair that he had for years at Wallbill's Car Wrench behind his desk. And you know, when you first get married, you're really focused on school or business. And a lot of people are robbed of the joy, the generations before us, of being able to focus on business because of World War II. And that was my grandfather's situations, that they both had to come back from the war and kind of start over. And my dad and my husband were spared that. But you know, that's really pivotal years. In your 20s and your 30s, you're building a business, and that takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of focus, it takes a lot of process. My dad was actually going to college and sacking potatoes. He had 2 or 3 jobs at one time, and he worked for the Standard Times, he did classified ads, and then he worked for my grandfather. My dad's very fluent in Spanish. Billy Sawyer is his name, and he worked for my grandfather. Now get this, does this not sound so West Texas? Wild Bill's Car Ranch. Wow, that's a mouthful. My grandfather was a visionary. He decided to build a huge car lot near Goodfellow Air Force Base. And people were going, that is way outside of town. San Angelo's not even growing that direction. That he really had a vision. And my father worked for him for several years, and then he opened his own car lot, Billy Boyd's Fine Cars. And I have some really neat photos that I'm going to share with you about those entrepreneurship days. And he's actually been at the same location for 45 years. So kudos to mom and dad. And my mom was that prayer warrior behind him, supporting him in raising a family. And that's really where I want to go to next, because the next chair is a child's chair. And it has 2 little stuffed animals in it that my grandkids absolutely adore. Has a picture of David and I with our 4 little grandkids, and 1 more on the way. I'm gonna have to change that photo out soon. But you know, you go from being married to focusing on business, and for David and I, those kids started coming very quickly. Guys, I want to tell you something. Those are pivotal years. Train a child in the way they should go. Those years are so critical. Children need to know that they're loved, they're safe, their home is their safe place. And sometimes we trade time for money. So be very cautious when you do have children to give them quality time and to give them lots of love, because that season goes by very quickly. The next chair is kind of the season in life that my husband and I are in right now. And I found that chair and left it exactly how I found it. It's cane backed, it's a little bit afraid, the seat's out of it, and I stuck a little plant in there, and my husband thinks that's like so ridiculous. But you know, really we're in a season of life that it's flourishing. That we are so thankful that you reap what you sow. And we have sowed into people's lives. We have sowed in the heartbeat of the kingdom. We have sowed seeds in business realms, so we can't expect a harvest. And then there's the season to come, and that's the last one of my gallery of 5, and that's that rocking chair that you can sit back and you can relax and you can enjoy, and you know that God's been sovereign. You know that He's been faithful, and He's never going to leave you, and He's never going to forsake you. And I want to just bless everyone watching this today. I bless you to age well. So many people, life happens and they don't get to enjoy every season. And I also want you to know there's been times in those chairs that the season have been rough. I remember when our son was diagnosed with diabetes, when my husband had career changes, when my parents had surgeries, when storms were coming, some unexpected and some we had some warning. All of that's a part of your story. It's a part of your legacy. But the greatest legacy that you could ever leave your children is for them to know that, you know what, this house and this farm, it's just wood, hay, and stubble, and there's going to be a day that it might be gone. But the legacy you leave your children, that they need to know Jesus Christ is Lord, and they need to know that He is going to lead them on some amazing journeys, then that's a part of their legacy as well. So I hope you enjoyed learning about our story, and I hope that you come up with creative ways to share your legacy. Thank you again. My name's Belinda Aycock. I love God, I love learning, and I love sharing what I've learned. Thanks again.